Good morning, guys. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm bombing out to Estacada, Oregon, and the sun's coming up. I'm getting ready to go visit Aaron Crowley. For you guys that don't know Aaron, he's a great guy, stone fabricator, creative product, been making products and trying to move the needle as long as I've known him. All right, Aaron, so what's going on at No Lift?
Well, this is where it all happens. Welcome to No Lift Central. This is where we manufacture, assemble, ship the No Lift install system here in Estacada, Oregon.
Give me a tour of that facility, man. Let's check it out.
Come on in.
Oh, wow.
So one of the first things you'll notice that unlike a stone shop, it's quiet in here. So the company is running. To begin, we bring all laser cut parts. We have a precision sheet metal company that laser cuts all the parts, laser drills all the holes, precision bending of all the parts. We bring basically tube steel in, precision cut for our welding process. They go in the racks up here. They get staged for manufacturing. When we get ready to run the robot, 100% of our welding is done on a state-of-the-art robot.
Julia, let's talk about what happens next.
Okay, so I am going to go through and check all the welds to make sure they're all good to go, and then I'll unclamp everything and lift it out and place it here on this pallet, and then take everything else and put it right back in and restart the whole process.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm Jim McMenemy. I'm the production manager for the facility, and we're standing in front of a Genesis Systems RC3L, which gives us the capability of welding fixtures or parts on two sides of the robot at the same time. Programming can be kind of compared to the child's coloring book, where it's a dot to dot to connect one dot, two dot, three dot. And that's what the robot's doing. In this case, it's a three-dimensional dot-to-dot. So anywhere you want the robot to weld, that will be a dot. So when the robot comes in, there's a dot here, you'll have another dot here, and then at that dot, you give it a control command like welder on. When it welds across where you want it to weld, you then set another dot and say weld off. So then coming back out to a safe position, move to the next location, and you're creating that three-dimensional dot-to-dot system in midair. The robot does not care if there's a part here or a part missing or out of place. It's going to go to where it was programmed within 2 to 3 thousandths.
Cut parts are staged on pallets. They're then loaded into these fixtures on this machine, and the operator, very much like a CNC, though you're not reprogramming this every day, the program remains the same. We load the parts in the fixtures and basically hit go, and the robot swings around, starts welding on the other side. While the robot's welding, we're taking parts off of these fixtures and putting new cut parts back in to weld. When the welding's done, the turntable spins, starts welding on the other parts, pop off finished parts, put cut parts back in, and the process continues. So yeah, we can make a lot of no lifts off of this machine, state of the art. Once it's welded, we do a little bit of sanding. Parts are then sent out for powder coat. They come back in basically on pallets like this from the powder coater. And then the assembly process begins. We have 3 different components. We have the deck, we have what we call the base, and then the H-frame. We attach, you can see all these ready to be, I don't know, I think they're putting labels on these, but basically the actuator, the H-frame, and the deck is attached to the base. They do the QC, they wrap the wheels, and then they're staged. We put the labels on them, and then we put them on a pallet. We'll add the ramps, which I had to show you those. One of the coolest features of our business is we discovered a product called the roller ramp. And if you're, doing installations, most likely, depending on the region, depending on the geography, probably between 50 and 80% of the houses that you're installing in have 1 to 4 steps getting into the work area. And so that created a problem. The no lift is not anti-gravity. You don't want to have to carry the cart and the countertop up. So the roller ramp is genius. This actually came out of the mobility industry. Huge company out of North Dakota, worldwide distribution of these ramps. And it is basically aluminum extrusions that are welded into these sections. So you can have a 10-foot long ramp that allows you to operate the cart going up 4 or 5 steps. And basically the 10-foot ramp and the cart is the no-lift system right now.
So you sold your shop about a year ago, right?
A little over a year. I can tell you the exact date, August 19th, 2021.
Wow.
So yeah, 14, 15 months ago.
How's life been after the stone world?
Well, I can tell you that manufacturing carts is a little easier than manufacturing countertops. So, but you know, I paid my dues. I did that for 23 years, so it's good.
Tell us about this robot you bought. What made you go? How did you get to the point where you were like, okay, forget paying a welder $30 an hour. Let's buy a really expensive FANUC robot and learn how to do robotic kinematic programming, how to maintain robots, how to use a robot as a welder. Tell us a little bit about that. That's kind of fascinating to me.
Okay, so
that had to take some nerve to spend that much money on that piece of equipment.
Yeah, a little bit. So if you can believe this, my business partner and I, my uncle, our original fixtures for the first probably, I don't know, 25 or 50 carts, we had taken granite scraps, remnants, and we had epoxied those down, and those were our actual welding fixtures, and we learned how to weld, basically welding the carts ourselves in my granite shop using fixtures made out of stone.
I remember that.
But we got to a point where it's like, we just can't, we are not set up for this, and so we went outside and we hired basically a certified welder. We paid him to build real fixtures for the cart, and then the volume got to the point where that welder actually went out and bought a robot to weld our parts for us.
Are you saying you're making chiropractors sad everywhere?
Yeah, pretty much. And that's really, you know, what we're beginning to, the way we're beginning to communicate this, we've called it the $1 million problem. And a lot of people underestimate. If you ask most fabricators, how much does an installer lift over the course of a year, they'll grossly underestimate. They may know intuitively it's a lot of weight, but nobody really knows how much an installer crew actually lifts over the course of a year. So if you do the math, you take an 80 square foot kitchen, 85 square foot kitchen, 16 pounds a square foot, you know, those two guys have got to load their rig, so they're picking that 1,300 pounds up once. They get to the job site, they got to pick it up again, loading, unloading, and then lifting to the cabinets. That 1,300 pounds is actually lifted 3 times. It's 4,000 pounds a day. It's 20,000 pounds a week. If you can believe this, 20,000 pounds a week times 50 weeks a year, it is 1 million pounds is what 2 installers are expected to lift. So if you want, we can go ahead and try and put this on your Bronco, but this is a Big Eddy cart caddy. So here it is in a box getting ready to go out. This is basically the cart caddy, the 2 components. We'll go ahead and assemble this and let's throw it on your Bronco and I'll show you how it works. So unlike the cart caddy requires a little bit of assembly, but not much. So, okay, so basically once the cradle is bolted on, set for your height, to get this thing to the job site, this is a very uncharacteristically nice day for November in Oregon. So what we do also have is a completely enclosed cart cover. So if you've got like in an area where there's de-icer on the roads during the winter, really important to keep the cart cover on the cart during transportation in those conditions. So we have a cart cover that completely encloses this entire thing that comes with the cart caddy. But you can see like 30 seconds, you're ready to go. And you just basically do the reverse at the job site. You get to the job site, pull the pins, yank the cart off, drag your counters out of the pickup, put them on the cart, and into the house you go.
Let's roll.
Let's do it.
Fucking confusing it is. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. Tell me. What's going on with you? How's life?
Same old shit, different day. So Aaron, you know what I think's interesting? Tell me about the first time you saw a granite slab. You're the same age I am. And I remember, this is just like, there's nothing to do with no lift carts or anything, but do you remember the first time you saw a granite slab?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Something's behind the
Yeah,
Bronco.
so we have crash, collision. There's a backup bumper that's getting fired right now because of the, okay, that's fine. We'll just keep rolling.
The Bronco's a little more sophisticated than the cart caddy.
Yeah, but as soon as we put it in drive, we'll be good. Oh my gosh, you know what? We need to film that. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on, that's B-roll from hell right there. Hold on. Here, do this.
The reality of this million-pound problem is so that people begin to think differently about it. If you look in most shops, why do they have a forklift? Could 8 guys grab a slab and drop it off the edge of a delivery truck? Yeah, they could. It would just be dumb because it would be so inefficient from a labor standpoint, not to mention dangerous. Same thing with overhead cranes and vacuum lifters. Why would you put a vacuum lifter in your shop? Well, it's so you don't have to stop 3 polishers from polishing to go grab an awkward countertop off the CNC table to set it up on a table. One guy